Presentation of Fox Sports.
We are Fox. We are MC.
The Royals continue their West Coast trip and hope that the Emerald City can bring some bling back to their bats. Kansas City has struggled on offense and dropped 5 straight games on the road. Tonight, they open a 3-game set in Seattle against the Mariners and hope that the Bats can carry them to a series win. Welcome to the Pacific Northwest and Seattle, Washington, where we come to you from Safeco Field for Game 1 of this 3-game series between the Royals and Seattle Mariners. Royals baseball is presented all season long by Academy Sports and Outdoors. Right stuff, low price, every day. Hi, everybody. I'm Steve Physiak. This is Rex Hudler, and the Royals have had a tough time away from Kauffman Stadium this year. They're just 4-6 on the road, but tonight they send their road warrior, Chris Medlin, who's been terrific on the road.
Yes, the road warrior mentality is good for Medlin, and the rest of the guys, they still have it in their DNA to win on the road, but this guy here is a Royal. Look at that record, 6-0. How about this last 6 road starts? 5-0, 1.85. It all starts on the bump. Believe me, the hitting's got to come to support him, but there's where it starts, and hopefully he's the guy to get the remedy done.
And Chris has to be good because King Felix Hernandez is throwing for Seattle tonight. Meantime, who has the lead to hand it off to 2 very strong bullpens in the Royals and the Seattle Mariners? We'll talk about the best bullpens in baseball when we come back. Royals and M's next. And while the Mariners don't have the names like Davis and Herrera and Story and Hochevar, the numbers are rarely equal in the month of April.
The names that aren't that important, Fizz. It's all about the numbers. And look, both of these teams are getting it done. Let's hope the Royals have the lead after 6.
And let's talk about one of the hottest hitters in baseball. That's Royals first baseman Eric Hosmer. He will try and continue a 17-game hit streak to 18. hitting streak to a career best 17 games with a 3-hit effort on Wednesday, Hud.
That's right. The man from Haas is getting it done. It don't matter anywhere out over the plate, low or high balls, he's staying on it, and his approach to the opposite field is great.
We have the first pitch of the Mariners and the Royals from the Emerald City next. Check out the Royals starting lineup that will face Felix tonight. Alcides Escobar will lead things off, then Mike Moustakas with his 7 home runs. Alex Gordon, though, is hitting .378 at Safeco Field since 2013. Would love to see him pick it up.
Sure would, too, Fizz. You know, 5 out of the Royals' 9 hitters are hitting over .300 against King Felix. So maybe this ace is the guy that can get the Royals' offense going.
Well, he has again been strong this year with a record of 1-2 and a 1.8 ERA. This is a great pitcher. 12+ wins in 7 straight seasons. The 6'3" right-hander faces Escobar, who swings at the first pitch and pops it up shallow right center field, and it will be the center fielder Leonys Martin to make the catch for out number 1. Our Honda most trusted players. This is what you were talking about, Hud. Escobar 6 for 16, so he swings at the first pitch.
Yep, you know what? It's not going to change a thing, but look at how they're going the opposite way against this guy. Love to see that action. Hopefully we see it tonight. Medlin's going to need some runs.
Well, Felix will now face a hot Mike Moustakas. 12 of his 22 hits this year have been extra base hits, and he takes strike 1.
King Felix, he's got a bunch of weapons. He's got like 5 pitches he uses. Okay, fastball there, 91. That's about tops now for the King. He's lost a little velocity, but still hadn't lost any movement. His opponents are only hitting 156 off of him, righties and lefties. So he's been dealing. 2-seamer, that big curveball he's using a lot of. Slider change. And he likes to cut it too. He's got a lot of pitches that he can go to. Curveball he's been using more this year. It's a big blooper. You can see the court in his background.
And they're holding those signs for the letter K for strikeout. Moose is able to take that breaking ball and pull it foul. The count is 1 ball and 2 strikes, and Felix is like death with 2 strikes. Opponents 3 for 42 when he has them down with 2 strikes.
Well, Moose, he hasn't been going back to the dugout with a bat on his shoulders that often. He only has 8 strikeouts and 80 at-bats. He puts up a battle up there.
The Royals are 12-9, 3 games back of the White Sox. The Mariners are 11-10, a half game out of first place in the West, behind the Texas Rangers. In the air, left side, Nori Aoki. 2 out. How about the rest of that Seattle defense?
Yep, how about him? They got some good gloves out there. Cano, he knows what to do. And the kid Marte, young 22-year-old shortstop. He's playing alongside of his hero Cano. Iannetta, he's catcher. He was with the Angels the last couple of seasons.
Yeah, they have really redone their entire roster. I mean, more than 50% change from last year. The year the Mariners went 76-86 and finished 4th place in the American League West. Now Lorenzo Cain given Wednesday off, and then obviously yesterday was a scheduled day off, so back-to-back days off because Cain, they need his bat. Just 5 hits in his last 33 times up, and his batting average has tumbled to .203.
He's 0 for 6 in his career against King Felix. Just saw the big curve. He might go back with it again.
1 ball, 2 strikes.
The mantra for the offense of the Kansas City Royals: try less. You try harder, it backfires. Just let it happen.
In there, tremendous command by Felix Hernandez. He gets Lorenzo Cain looking and gets the Royals in order to open this game. In 2014, he will lead things off for Seattle. He'll be followed by Seth Smith and then Robinson Cano, who's suddenly gotten hot, and Nelson Cruz. Well, back-to-back seasons of 40-plus home runs. On the mound, Chris Medlin. We told you his road success this year, a 1-1 record and an ERA of 6.
Yeah, you see they're hitting .298 off of him. If he's not commanding his fastball, it usually gets hit over the middle. Not overpowering guy. He's going to average 90 miles an hour on his fastball. He's going to work in a nice curveball and a good changeup.
Aoki does usually take that first pitch, and he does a strike. Just a .205 average, and Aoki 1 for his last 15.
Well, his former teammates know all about it. He likes to slap that ball. Moose has got to play in because he bunts. So now with 2 strikes, Moose will back up, challenge it. Aoki, spray hitter.
And Alex Gordon swung way around and left, just about 50 feet from the line. Lorenzo Cain very shallow in center. And Aoki slaps it that way. I haven't seen too many outfield defenses. We can't even see Gordon. Where is he?
Yeah, so Nori's got all that room, and Alex is hugging the line. That's where you play him. They expect Aoki to be behind his fastball. Nori, same guy. Talked to him before the game. Except his English is so much better than a couple of years ago when we had it.
He was with the Giants last year where he hit 287. Medlin with the 1-2 and just barely missing inside to even the count.
Ooh, that's good two-seam running fastball there. That's going to get some guys tonight. Perfect spot. Should have been called out.
Now a full count to Aoki. He has walked 6 times this year. 34-year-old veteran out of Japan. Spent 8 years with the Yokote Swallows. And he does work the walk after Medlin had the count his way. How about our Ford defense for the Royals?
Yep, they're a great defending team, and I hope that they show it here in this series. They didn't in Anaheim, but they are only human. Moustakas, one of 4 third basemen without making an error. Look, Dyson's out there playing a good outfield. You know, the defense, if they're good behind Medlin, hopefully he'll get his stuff and find his command early. That's his 12th walk of the season.
And that's not like him. He's averaging 6.5 walks per 9 innings, and he is a tremendous command pitcher throughout his career with the Atlanta Braves. Seth Smith takes a rip at the first pitch he sees and misses strike 1.
I'm not so sure Nori is going to challenge Salvi and Medlin on a steal attempt. He does have 1 steal, has been caught twice. Good situational base stealer.
Smith down in the count, 0-2. Well, they do have a lot of veterans on the Seattle team. Aoki at 34, Seth Smith 33, Robbie Cano 33, Nelson Cruz 35, Adam Lind 32.
Got a lot of experience, but you couldn't hit that last changeup with a tennis racket. If he gets that changeup working, that's going to be his pitch. There it is again.
Just off the plate.
That's where Salvi wanted it. All those years, and you talked about the experience of these veteran players of the Mariners. Not many of them have a lot of at-bats against Medlin. 2. Seth Smith's 0 for 2 in his career. Chris Iannetta, who's down hitting 7th, is 0 for 2 in his career against him. That's about it.
But these Mariners are just beginning to pick things up. And Medlin cannot be walking people. The Royals, as a pitching staff, are second to last in the American League in most walks. Off speed down low. The count now even, 2 balls and 2 strikes.
There's no doubt about it. There's some things that the Royals got to clean up, but a lot of other teams out there showing their warts too. It's early.
Fouled off.
Two-seam fastball is a good pitch for him on left-handers. He starts it off the plate at him, and the lefties usually take it, and then it moves back over the plate. At the changeup, he's got to get the curve working too. It'd be nice if he could get 2 of the 3 working for him. Ooh.
He had the count his way against Nori Aoki and then walked Nori. He had an 0-2 count to Seth Smith. Didn't get the call. Our home plate umpire is Vic Carapazza.
It's just a little in. Mariners being patient, milking the pitch count early.
Runner goes, pitch taken, ball 4. Back-to-back walks after Medlen had an advantageous count. And the command pitcher not commanding his pitches early with a hot guy coming up, Robinson Cano, with 24 RBIs in 21 games.
Yeah. This guy's having the year that they thought he was going to have last year. He's gotten off to a great start. And Medlen ahead of both hitters 0-2, unable to finish him off.
Those are your Kubota power stats. Last year he had 1 home run and 6 RBIs through 21 games. This year 8 home runs and 24 RBIs.
Oh, he's hit it to 2 double plays this year. Maybe he can get a 3rd done here. Medlen can keep the ball down. Cano's been going to the opposite field a lot, and that's changed his approach. It's changed his success. Because, you know, it's like Haas and Moose. They're going the other way. Then they recognize that pitch inside when they try to get it in there. And he's hitting that out of the park.
Last 3 games he's been tough. 10 RBIs in his last 3. Wow.
I'll be looking for him to hit the ball to the opposite field here because he doesn't want to roll over. 4-6-3. He doesn't want that. He's got to find some rhythm here and some confidence.
He lost his last game to Baltimore on Saturday. Went 3 2/3 innings. It was the 3rd shortest outing of his career. Just was not able to locate the ball down against the Birds. And that one's lifted to center field. And Kane will have it measured, make the catch, and no advance.
That'll work. There you go. It's pitch to contact there. It's on the outer half. He had to reach for it. Chipped his bat. Or something came flying off of that bat. Might have been his thumb guard. There they are. Double play depth for Nelson Cruz, who's grounded into 2 double plays as well.
He had a good last series, 5 for 12 with a couple of home runs. Now has 4 on the year.
Can't make a mistake to this guy. Anything up and in, he's looking to turn and burn on it. Right there. Woo, where was that? That's where you want to pitch him. Salvi's sitting up a little bit more inside, but there you go. That's the perfect double play ball there.
Aoki at second base, Smith at first base, just 1 out. And Cruz up the middle, but Infante knocks it down, touches second, goes to first. They're saying safe at second, out at first, so first and third with 2 down.
Yep. Omar couldn't find the bag. Again, looking a little stiff-handed out there. That's 3 backhands on this trip so far that hasn't been able to secure. Highly unlike him. Now that ball there, but fortunate it didn't get through there, but watch him miss the bag here. At least he got it out. That's a good recovery there. He recovered, almost whiffed it all, and he says, I'm gonna get it over there to first base.
Yeah, but too many times we've seen recently, it's not the double plays the Royals have turned, but the double plays that they have not turned that have come back to haunt them. And now Adam Lind. And quite frankly, that happened in the last start when he gave up 4 runs in the 4th inning, all after a double play was not turned.
They're going to get out of it.
Then takes ball 1. Good power hitter, 20 home runs for Milwaukee last year, and he drove an 87. Aoki now at third base with Seth Smith at second base. Strike.
Lind hitting just 111 with runners in scoring position. 221 the Mariners as a team with runners in scoring position. Well, they've had their struggles getting runners in too. Hopefully Medlin can just hold them right there.
Strike two.
Yeah, not let him get a run across.
We remember when Chris had that difficult game in Houston earlier this year. It didn't look like he would go 2 innings. He wound up grinding it out through 5, and that was his first start of the season.
See if Lynn earned himself a changeup right here. Salvi's moving away.
He pulls it to the right side, and Fonte is there, and Medlin does get out of trouble.
Yeah, he meddled out of that one, didn't he?
Contributor to the skyline of downtown Seattle. Royals and Mariners, game 1 of this 3-game series. Seattle is playing much better on the road than they are at home, but they're playing much better lately. They've homered in 7 straight games, and their starting pitcher has gone at least 7 or more innings in 5 of the last 6 games. Here is Eric Hosmer with his 17-game hit streak, and he immediately takes a good curveball for strike 1 from Felix Hernandez. He's up that average to 333. Strike 2. Man, he is pounding that zone.
Haas let home plate umpire know he didn't like that one. So curveball, fastball. Medlin's going to want the same pitch.
A little bit high. Tried to tee Eric on that.
Ooh, yeah, he'll use that 4-seamer up in the zone, but I can tell you, just looking at Haas, he's saying, throw me that one again.
Yeah, he has very good opposite field power. Was that one foul? We saw that in Anaheim when he shot one out to left center field over Mike Trout's head and into the rock pile at the Big A. It's 376 in the power alley here to left center, 380 to the power alley in right.
Head groundskeeper there in Angel Stadium told me they had to replace a rock. He busted the rock.
There's a little chopper, and Hosmer might have himself a hit. He does. And it's down the line, and Eric's going to take second base. A single and an error, and Hosmer's hit streak is now at 18 straight games.
That's a beautiful way to keep that streak alive. A little topper. It had some spin on it. King Felix would have thrown him out had the spin on that ball not been there. He would have. Watch how this thing kicks away. Yeah, funky bounce off the plate. Now watch it. Ooh, it had a little bit of zip on it. Felix made a good try there. You know, in Cano, he was backing up, but I don't know how he missed that. Cano was there. He just let it go under his glove. Get that hitting streak done early.
Now batting over 360 during this streak. And now Morales wants to get a run in. He has just 1 RBI his last 11 games. Pulls it foul, strike 1.
Oh, that's exactly what he wants to do. Now Morales, he's seen King Felix more than anyone in that lineup. 50 at-bats, 14 for 51 homer, 8 ribbies off of Felix Hernandez. 50 at-bats, a lot of action.
Hit sharply, pulled to the right side. Cano takes a look at third, then throws out Morales, so a productive out by Kendris.
That's all Kendris is trying to do. Now, he wanted more, obviously, with a hit, but pull that ball, get him over, and get him in. The Royals don't want to miss opportunities against King Felix. You can't. The sooner you can get him, the better off you are.
And we're expecting them to bring in the infield, but right now, Cano is positioned back with Alex Gordon coming up.
So is Marte, the shortstop.
That's interesting.
Yeah, they're going to concede the run. So Alex, more than anything now, just wants to put the ball in play.
First pitch in, ball 1. Gordo 4 for 23 in his career against Felix Hernandez.
Left-handers are only hitting 200 off of Felix Hernandez. That mark went up though when Hosmer got that hit.
He gets a lot of strikeouts, a lot of pop-ups. In the dirt, ball 2.
Well, Chris Iannetta, he had some struggles the last couple of years behind the plate for the Angels, but he's much improved. Casey Candell, their first base coach, was telling me before the game that he's fundamentally sound, and he was right there too, squaring that ball up in his glove.
Royals would love to take the early lead on Felix. Hosmer at third. Swing and a miss. 2 balls, 1 strike. Felix is no longer overpowering hitters. I mean, his fastball velocity averaged below 90 miles an hour this year for the first time in his career. It's down just 2 miles per hour. That ball hit in the air. Charging in is Martin, and making the catch is the shortstop. Hosmer bluffs the move. He will stay put at third base.
Hosmer, great idea. I thought he might try it. He's the quickest running first baseman there is in the American League, and guy's got his back to you and his momentum's going towards center. He busted it, but I don't know if he'd have made it. Nothing better when you can score a 100-foot sacrifice fly for your team and for the hitter, Gordon.
Well, Felix Hernandez grew up in the same hometown as the guy he's pitching to now, Salvador Perez. Valencia, Venezuela, about 70 miles from Caracas. Salvi, good power, and leads the club with 14 RBIs this season. Royals were 0 for 7 in their loss on Wednesday to the Angels, and hitting just .188 their last 8 games with runners in scoring position. And now Perez has a 1-1 count.
Well, you mentioned Felix's velocity's down, but nothing else is down. He's got great movement. Now, it helped when he threw 95, 96, but he's got a lot of miles on that arm. So he's a little bit like Justin Verlander. You know, this guy's been around a long time now. What he lacks in velocity, he'll make up for in movement. He's got excellent stuff.
Now it's a 1-2 count. Yeah, how about this, Hud? His changeup, opponents hitting 128. His curveball, 091. Slider, opponents 1 for 4.
Yep, and he bears down when runners get in scoring position like most aces do.
A lot of Perez fans here. Big crowd behind the Royals dugout tonight at Safeco. And he chases a ball in the dirt, and that does it for the Royals' threat.
field up in Seattle. Both teams squandering opportunities in the first inning. Medlen started the first two guys off 0-2, and he walked them. Not a good sign, especially with the hottest hitter coming up. And he got a little pop up there. No one advanced. Nelson Cruz hit it. What was going to be a double play. Infante couldn't find a handle, but he got one. And then there it was. He's able to get out of the inning. Whew.
Just keep battling.
And that's what he is. He's a bulldog. Ooh, same. It was a strike to Haas.
Kyle Seager, the batter. He's had a slow start, hitting just 143. He's definitely a power hitter. He's 28 years old. He hit his 100th career home run back on April 25th.
And he's a notorious slow starter, though. But still, he's got 10 ribbies and 4 bombs.
He's from a baseball family. His brother's the shortstop for the Los Angeles Dodgers. They have another brother in the minor league system, University of North Carolina, and they signed him to a long-term deal before the 2015 season.
Yeah, he's a solid player. I mentioned his 4 home runs. The Mariners have 4 players who've hit at least 4 home runs. Okay? They've got some pop in their lineup.
Medlen's back even at 2 balls and 2 strikes. Tried to get him to chase the off speed, and Seager did not, and the count is full.
Doesn't want to walk another hitter here, but you got to execute a pitch you can't miss in the middle.
Tried to come inside and went way away and misses badly. That's 3 walks for Chris Medlen. And fans were talking about an excellent command pitcher, and that concerns Dave Eiland. He is averaging 2.2 walks in his career per 9 innings. But this year 6.6. And the Royals' road winning percentage, Chris Medlen right at the top, 73% of his games. That's a minimum of 30 decisions. David Price at 72%. But look at the other guys. McGrashy, Whitey Ford on that list.
Yeah,
go all the way back to 1920.
Amazing company. He's got to just get that shoulder going north and south and not pull off. He's pulling off with his shoulder a little bit, and he's missing.
That stat part of our Toyota League leaders. Chris Iannetta, the batter. This is not a team that runs that much. They have only 6 stolen bases this year. That's 12th in the 15 American League teams.
Well, with all that power, you know, you're not going to have a lot of base stealers. Wasting out on the bases, especially with Salvi throwing 50% of runners out this year so far. I'm sure Scott Service, the new manager for the Mariners, doesn't want anybody taking a chance on a steal.
Iannetta, one of the more patient hitters on their team. And that ball's lined to Escobar, who looks at first base, but saw that Seager had about a 12-foot gap from first base, so he decided not to throw. Now the youngster Ketel Marte, 22 years old, out of the Dominican Republic, hitting .288, but that's not the big part of the story. It's how hot he's been lately. A 7-game streak, 13 hits in his last 30 at-bats. And he said he's just feeling more comfortable at the plate, swinging at his pitch.
Yeah, you know what? He's getting a chance to play every day. They're counting on him. So he's stepping up, rising to the occasion. He's a switch hitter that puts the ball in play. Doesn't have to worry about the long ball. He's got some gap power, but he's mainly one of those pesky guys that with some good speed up there hitting down in the order. And he's playing next to his childhood hero, Robinson Cano. I mean, this kid, you know, he's had to pinch himself when he got to spring training in the big leagues. He couldn't believe it. He was actually teammates, and now he's a double play partner with him. So he wants to, that'll help him rise to the occasion. Say, hey, look, I belong here. Yep.
In there.
Two-seamer is going to work for him against the left-handed bats. If he can just command it where he wants to.
Marte will be tough to double, very quick. Next two batters are their fastest, and Marte and Martin. And then he chases an off-speed pitch and strikes out. So Chris has his first strikeout of the night.
Change up, beauty. Left-handers have the two-seam fastball on the inner half to worry about, and then the same kind of action, less a few miles per hour on the changeup away, can fool him.
Will he go more fastball changeup to lefties and fastball curve and slider to righties?
Typically, yeah, he's not real comfortable with throwing that big curve to the left-handed bats because sometimes it leaves it out over the middle of the plate and coming in. When he throws it, he'll have to throw it in or backdoor it.
Now Martin. And he starts him off with the changeup. Strike one. Martin came over from the Texas Rangers, played there for several seasons, and looked like he would be their future center fielder. But a lot of injury problems the last 2 years, and he had that hamate bone injury where he broke it off the hook of the hamate bone near his thumb in August. And then dealt to Seattle in November. Upstairs. 1 ball, 1 strike. Fouled back. And that surprised me a little bit, Rex, when they showed those power numbers. 4 home runs already. He hit a total of 5 last year in a hitter's friendly ballpark in Texas, and this is more of a pitcher's yard here at Safeco.
Yeah, he's healthy, and imagine he's pulling those, and it's 326 down the right field line. It's not a big long way out there in right.
Medlin could not get him to chase the high heat. That may be to set up that changeup. Remember, he struck out Marte with a changeup after throwing up and away.
Yep, believe it. Two fastballs in a row. Changeup coming. Salvi wants it on the ground. Ooh. Maybe he stayed with a two-seamer. Salvi was calling for it on the ground, but just above the hitting zone.
He did not chase the change. A full count, 3-2, so Seager will be moving from first base.
Well, Medlin's 3 walks are all on the fastball. The inning pitching, he's been pulling off with his shoulder on this 3-2 count, and the balls have been up and away. So if he can throw that good one
Well, he left it up about the belt, but kept it in where Martin could do much with it, unable to extend his arms. Game 1 of a 3-game series. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Then we come home and have a 3-game series with the Washington Nationals before we head out on the road again. So just 3 games at Kauffman Stadium, fans. Foul back.
In the meantime, with all these 3-2 counts that Medlin's working and then them fouling him off, they're taxing his pitch count.
It's already at 44 pitches and not yet through 2. Meantime, Hernandez has been very quick with the Royals in his 2 innings of work.
Well, good thing is everybody's rested out there in the bullpen.
And then he walks Martin, the number 9 batter. 4 walks already for Chris Medlen, who now has walked 15 batters in not even 17 innings. I mean, Rex, I always go back to his great year in 2012. He walked 23 total batters in a total of 138 innings that year.
Well, there's no question he's having some command issues so far early this year. And mainly he's just not able to control the upper half of his body.
Now Nori Aoki, and again Medlen very wild with that fastball. High strike. 1 ball, 1 strike. And a quick note, fans, Marlins pitcher Adam Conley has a no-hitter through 8 innings, so stay with us because Joe Goldberg will have that story later in our show. Hit to the right side, Infante has it. And much like the first inning, the Mariners strand 2, but Medlen has to work more than he wanted to.
In left field and not right field. That's where he's playing for the Mariners. Joe Goldberg back by the Royals dugout and had a chance to visit with Nori Aoki today, and very fond of his 1 year in Kansas City. And he was part of that American League Championship team in 2014. He even saw that grand slam in Arizona. Always a smile on his face. Oftentimes, usually I should say, unorthodox at the plate and in the field, but definitely popular with his teammates. Talking to Nori today, guys, and he said that it was a little bit awkward last year going from the Royals to the Giants when he received his American League Championship ring. His Giants teammates, as we see the hot shot right to Seager, handled easily. His Giants teammates had a lot of fun with him because, of course, they were on the winning side and got the bigger rings. But he said he was not surprised by the Royals World Championship in 2015. He said that there was a hunger with that team. They fell short, and so he was very happy for them. Loved his time in Kansas City, loved the barbecue, and enjoying things now here in Seattle.
Yeah, Joe, and I showed him my ring, you know, before the batting practice, and he took it to the batting cage with him. And he said he was going to use it. And I said, well, yeah, you know what? You can have it, Nori, if you want it, have it. He showed it to some of his teammates, you know. And
I'm glad he didn't walk off with it, Hud. The only thing he was missing was his translator. Remember, Kosuke was his translator, and he's not here right now. Apparently, he's on the DL with a concussion, and so he was using Iwakuma's translator for a little bit of help. But as you mentioned earlier in the broadcast, Hud, English is improving.
Yeah, I was going to ask you. Man, it's great to just carry on a conversation with him.
I'll always remember that tremendous catch he had in Game 1 of the Royals' victory over the Angels in the American League Division Series, where he kind of wiggled around. And we saw him do that a lot, where he looked a little unsettled in the outfield. And someone tweeted after that tremendous catch in right field that the only time that Nori Aoki runs straight is during an earthquake. It was a bit of an adventure. Ball at the feet of Jarrod Dyson. Let's check out our Academy leaderboard. You've got a guy who strikes out a lot of batters against a guy who doesn't strike out that much. Jarrod Dyson has not struck out this year in 42 plate appearances. Felix with the 2-2 pitch. And he reaches out, punches it to center field, but it stays up for Martin. Felix Hernandez, now 30 years of age. He signed with the Mariners way back in 2002. Hard to believe that he's been playing pro baseball 13 years. Breaking ball misses. Signed with the Mariners in 2002 by their scout Pedro Avila, who actually spotted Felix at the age of 14 and said, wow, this guy is going to be something special. And Seattle, the Yankees, Atlanta, Colorado, all were after him, and Seattle offered him the most.
And now he wants to finish his career here.
He has a contract, I believe, through the year 2019.
Yeah, I mean, with all those yellow shirts out there in his whole fan section, then why would you want to pitch anywhere else?
Strike in the outside corner. 2-1.
The Royals had that great opportunity in the second inning to get a run home. Hosmer's single with an error. Morales got him over.
Escobar tried the bunt. And there's only been 3 teams that he has a losing record against: the White Sox, the Rangers, and the Royals. He is 4-5 despite a strong 3.01 ERA, and we told you about that June 22nd game when he was beaten by Joe Blanton. Joe pitched a heck of a ball game, allowed just 1 run in 6 innings, and the Royals scored 4 runs off of Hernandez in 6 2/3. Fastball in.
Felix does have 15 walks coming into this game.
Escobar tried to check. He did not go.
Ooh,
and that is a walk. And Escobar with 2 out, you've got to believe, Hud, that he might be going. He's 4 for 4 stealing bases this year.
Yeah, but what about Esky with his 5th walk on the season already? Wow. I'll tell you what, he got close to swinging at that.
That is the 16th walk in almost 28 innings this year by Felix, so his command has not been as sharp as we've seen it in years past, but only 3 of the previous 15 walks have scored.
Time to make it 4 here. Mariners all shifted over to the right side. Seager, the only fielder on the left side. Moose likes that. Of course, he wants to put one in the seats.
Escobar does not go. The pitch catches the inside corner, and the catcher Ionetta throws behind, but Escobar read it.
He bluffed like he wanted to steal. Same pattern. Teams have been pitching loose inside, and they're playing their defense to pull, so Moose has been making them pay. Ionetta's thrown out 17% of runners so far this season. That's not a great mark. Anything around 30 is really good.
Breaking ball misses away, and we told you about Marlins pitcher Adam Conley had a no-hitter almost through 8 innings. He went 7 2/3, was lifted because his pitch total got rather high. And Jonathan Lucroy just broke up the no-hitter in the 9th inning against the bullpen.
King Felix has a good move. You just saw it. He's quick. He uses a slide step. And then he'll hold the ball over there, trying to disrupt the break of the base stealer. Good fielding pitcher.
Moose again, very patient at the plate. Not taking a bite at that off-speed pitch. That would have been a good pitch to run for Escobar with it in the dirt. But the way Moose has been hitting home runs, he has 7 this year.
Yeah, just
Escobar's
stay put.
already in scoring position.
Better believe it.
Strike 2.
All right, Moose is seeing the ball well. He tracked that ball all the way to Ionetta's catcher's glove.
Escobar is going. It's a bad throw. It gets away from the shortstop, and Escobar will escape to third base. So it is the 2nd error in this game by Seattle.
Oh man, Royals catching a break here. That looked like strike 3, but must have been down and in off the plate. Esky gets the bag and advances quickly. That's another advantage by sliding on your right side. You see the ball get by the fielder, you're in. You slide on your left side, you don't see it as well.
Moose with a 3-2 count. Pulls it to the first baseman. Lynn will take care of it. And the Royals, for the 2nd straight inning, leave a runner at third base.
Go Field More bad news in the world of baseball. Our University of Kansas hospital injury report. It's not an injury, but another drug suspension to a superstar. Last week it was Chris Colabello. Now Dee Gordon out for 80 games. His manager, Don Mattingly, very emotional with the news last night.
You love your kids, and that's Dee for me. That's one of mine, and you know, again, I'm going to love on him and love him through this process and help him in any way we can. But then as a ball club, it's a different scene. You know, the story is we have to move forward.
Well, the Marlins lose their batting champion, the National League batting champion from last year, for 80 games. That no-hitter tonight, if it had happened, might have changed the dialogue, at least for a couple of days. Bottom line, guys, two big superstars, one in Gordon more so than Colabello, busted, same type of answers, not knowing that they were ingesting it. Not sure there are a whole lot of people that are believing it, and a lot of superstar players right now saying we need to start finding a way to stop this even more. So obviously that's a players union situation. They could do something about that, but the stuff is still going on, and this is a big time superstar. And I should mention, guys, this is not a big player. This is a small, speedy, very nice, well-loved player. This is happening to not just the big guys in baseball.
I like the response from Mattingly. We used the word love a couple of times.
It's that old saying, hug your child after you scold them.
Yeah, you know what? Hey, all of our kids, we all have them, and it's one of his. And he's had him from his managing days with the Dodgers. And you know, the kid steps out of bounds too sometimes. And he's got to move forward. That's what he said. Be a tough guy to replace, though.
Now Chris Medlin begins his third inning of work and has a 2-2 count with the leadoff batter, Seth Smith. He has walked the leadoff man the last two innings. Aoki to start the bottom of the first, and Seager to start the bottom of the second. Doesn't want to go through that again.
He's just having a hard time finishing guys off. He's getting ahead of them. Just can't get that finish pitch working.
Medlin already has his 6th career game with at least 4 walks, and 3 have come with the Royals. Coming off 2 Tommy John surgeries. Good change up there, but Salvador unable to hold on to the foul tip. Smith, good eye. 10 walks, 10 strikeouts. They'll try it again with a full count, but he's already thrown 56 pitches just starting the third inning.
Well, the problem is he's getting it where he wants to get on them, but he can't finish them off. And then with you know, even counts and the hitter 3 and 2 counts, they've been fouling off extra pitches because they're not going easy.
And then that ball is roped. Nice play by Infante, and he loops it to first, and Hosmer with a nice pick. Heck of a play all the way around.
There's a backhand and a nice off-balance throw. That'll lift Medlin. Infante having a hard time with his backhand. That ball shot up on him too. He secured that one and just got rid of it with his quickness. Didn't rely on a hard throw, but just getting rid of it sometimes is all it takes. And Haas with his steady glove got it.
I like how he gets down low, just so he can read it right into his glove.
Yep. You stay down low. It's easier to go low to high than have your glove up in the air and go down.
I'll bet you he has saved 4 to 5 would-be errors this year. Strike one. Cano flied out to center field his first time with runners on first and second and nobody out. Robbie picked up RBI number 1,000 in his terrific career on Tuesday. His career obviously started with the New York Yankees, then signed the 10-year deal to come here before last season. Foul. He started out very slowly with the Mariners last year, but by the end of the season, solid numbers, hitting .287 with 21 home runs and 79 driven in. Little tapper. Salvi will throw him out. And very quickly 2 outs in this 3rd inning. Royals fans, join us on May 3rd versus the Nationals for the first T-shirt Tuesday of the 2016 season. Show up early, as only the first 10,000 fans through the gate will receive this light blue World Champs T-shirt presented by Teva. Please visit Royals.com or call 1-800-6-ROYALS for tickets. Curveball backed up and almost hit Nelson Cruz in the back arm. Ball 1. Two and 0. Foul off. And Rex, when you really study Nelson Cruz's career, he was a late bloomer. Came up with the Texas Rangers and then on to Milwaukee, but he blossomed late and became a power hitter really after the age of 30.
Well, Fizz, after you've seen enough pitches, you have some success, you eventually know which ones are yours.
Well, Mike throws out Nelson Cruz, and that's the best inning for Medlin. 1, 2, 3 go the M's in the 3rd. Moose will lead things off when we come back. The Pacific Northwest, and they want to hear our sprint trivia question. Is it about Felix? Yes, it is. The King has 6 seasons with 200 or more strikeouts. Who is the only other active pitcher with 6? I'll give you the answer later in the game. Strike in the outside corner to Lorenzo Cain. And HUD, could it be Justin Verlander?
Good call. Good guess.
But just a guess. Change up inside. Lorenzo struck out looking his first time up. Now a 2-1 count. He is an example that you don't have to throw that hard to be a great pitcher. I remember when he came up at the age of 19, he was throwing 98 miles an hour. Trying to tease Kane here, and it's down 3-1.
Yeah, he was almost unhittable when he had that kind of velocity. He's been one of the game's greatest, no question about it. Drive one.
And he does to right field. That's a base hit.
There you go. Keep it simple. Get that right field swing down, and the rest will come.
Second time in this ball game, the Royals have had their leadoff man on. Hosmer was able to get as far as third base with one out, but could not score.
Perfect swing. Look at that. He stuck it. He didn't have a long follow through. He just stayed to it. Look at that. Perfect balance. Hopefully that's the hit there that'll set something off for him.
Well, he's admitted himself that when he is right center conscious, that's when he's at his best. And they try and pick him off. They did the same with Escobar when he got on with 2 out in that last inning. Hosmer reached on an infield hit to extend his streak to now 18 straight games.
Threw a curveball to him first pitch in his last at bat. Been going with that curveball a lot more this year.
Full foul.
Yeah, he was waiting on it that time, Haas was.
Eric with 3 home runs this year, and Felix has given up 2 home runs this season.
Yep, he was telling me before the game the key for him is the front foot, his lead foot. He just wants to pick it up and set it down. And tries to. Sometimes you get a little anxious and that front foot goes out a little bit more towards the pitcher and it throws the rest of the body off balance.
Yeah, he had a problem when he had too high a leg kick where his head would drift a little bit towards the pitcher.
Yeah. Right, exactly.
Back, and he was trying to guess on Felix Hernandez, who stepped off.
Base Steelers have had a 75th percentile of success in Felix off of King Felix in his career, and Lorenzo was trying to get a little bit of a head start.
He doesn't make many mistakes. Ooh, Hosmer had a good pitch to take a rip at. It was about thigh high away from him, though, and that was his fastball, one of his top velocities at 90.
Ooh, man. Haas just a tick behind that one.
The King's Court. In there. Strike 3 call.
It's hard to guess when you face King Felix. You know, a lot of hitters are guess hitters, but you just have to look out over the middle with this guy. This is tough. That 2-seamer had some teeth to it.
That must be the princess in the court, and I think she's calling the jester right now.
Whole bunch of them out there. I wonder if the guy's brought the turkey leg yet. He always brings a couple of turkey legs.
That's
and hands
right.
them out.
We have medieval nights here at Safeco Field when the King is pitching. And there's a single to center field. Kane had to make sure so he'll only advance to second base.
Okay, second and third innings, the Royals have had runners in scoring position, and they so far haven't found a way to get the big hit.
Now this year, this is when Felix has been at his best. Hud, look at this. 1 hit in 26 times with runners in scoring position, and with 2 out, 0 for 10 with 5 strikeouts.
Yep. He's a typical ace. Get stingy when runners get out there, but the Royals, if they want to get off their little losing streak here, they're going to have to come through.
The Royals, meantime, this was something they were great at last year, but they've really struggled this season, and lately 0 for their last 15 with men in scoring position. Gordon popped up to short, the runner in scoring position back in the second.
They'll figure it out. That was an opportunity Alex really was disappointed in. He couldn't come through with a ground ball there, just up the middle anywhere. Any ground ball would have scored the run, and he got up under it.
And you know what was interesting about that? We thought they'd bring the infield in. They kept them back, and because of it, Marte was able to make that catch in shallow center field.
Sometimes the moves you make work, and sometimes they don't.
2 on, 1 out.
See if Alex can give the Royals some life here.
He has just 4 hits in his last 24 times up. Pull to the right side. They've got 1 and 2. Local Kansas City area Chevy dealers. Visit us for great prices on the all-new 2016 Malibu. By Panera Bread, food as it should be with 24 Kansas City metro locations. And by Academy Sports and Outdoors, right stuff, low price, every day. We come to you from Safeco Field, a 0-0 score as we head to the bottom of the 4th inning. Chris Medlin enjoyed his best inning, getting the Mariners in order. Smith, Cano, and Cruz, and now will face Adam Lind to open the 4th inning. Strike 1.
Who's going to get the big hits first? Both teams having plenty of opportunities here early in this one.
Mariners with 4 base runners, all on walks by Medlin. He was able to wiggle out of jams in the 1st and 2nd. Now a ball pulled to the right side. Hosmer has it. He'll touch first before Lind, and there's 1 out. Fans looking for a Royal value, try Family Fun Day Sundays at the Cape, presented by Academy Sports and Outdoors before the game. Enjoy face painters and kids entertainment in the outfield experience, and pregame player autographs at Signature Sundays on top of the Royals dugout. After the final out, kids 14 and under can round the bases like a big leaguer in the Skippy Fun Run. Get your tickets at royals.com/Sunday. And the next Sunday at the K will be, well, it's going to be sometime in May because we're just home for 3 games against Washington. It will be against the Atlanta Braves on May 15th. In the air, left side. Alex Gordon, 2 out. And it appears, Hud, that Medlin's commanding his fastball better, getting early count outs, and as you said, he was getting to 2 strikes, couldn't finish guys off, and now he's getting to hit that fastball that's well placed.
Yeah, maybe Medlin should throw more warm-up pitches in the bullpen because it seems like, you know, he settles down, but he's done a great job of working out of some jams. Like I say, those walks, those 4 walks, you know, most of the time they're going to come around and hurt you, but he's been able to get a couple good plays out there.
Good sinker right there at 1 ball 2 strikes, and it looked like that Iannetta was expecting it to be a little straighter.
Well, 88 to 92 with that 2-seamer. That sometimes those few mile-an-hour differences can make a big difference in the timing.
Ooh, that's a little cutter, it looks like.
Beautiful.
And it's beautifully located on the outside corner, and that's another 1-2-3 inning for Medlin.
Seattle, a lot of action already finished up around baseball as Panera takes us around the league. And how about the Cubs and the White Sox living large in Chicago right now? Both of them with best starts in, well, for the Cubs in forever pretty much, and for the White Sox since 2005. But breaking news, everybody, the White Sox lost tonight. They have now lost 2 games in a row.
Yep,
I know,
baby.
Fizz, that is shocking to you, but they're not going to go perfect on the year.
No, they aren't.
So how about that? That's a little bit of a glance at our Panera around the league. Royals face the Sox, of course, 19 times this year, not the Cubs. Hud, I want to ask you something. You talked before about D. Gordon and showing him love. You know Don Mattingly very well. You are the ultimate teammate, supporting your guys. You got to have your guys back, certainly as a manager. But what do you do to clean things up when he barely loses any salary? A good chunk of that contract is what he's going to earn in the years coming forward. So there's not much incentive for him to, you know, keep it clean in that situation. And so Justin Verlander railed on the process last night. A lot of guys are getting upset. Maybe there'll be some pressure on the union. How do you balance this?
Well, those those guys are on other teams. When you have your own teammate going through something like that, it's different. You heard Donnie Baseball say, we got to love on him. We got to love him through the process. Anybody outside of their camp, you know, is going to have their comments, but you know what? Collective bargaining's coming up in a year or so, and they'll have to address some of that stuff. But look, there's just no way in any professional sports it's going to be completely clean. There's still guys out there doing it. What are you going to do? They have one of the most stringent. I got you. Testing program there is in sports. If you cheat, you're going to get caught. Got to love them through it.
Meantime, you have to love Salvador Perez. He just took a nasty curveball from Felix Hernandez and grinned out to his friend who is from the same hometown, Valencia. This guy plays with such joy.
He's very stringent.
Thank you.
Got you, Hud.
Way to pick me up.
Ooh. How about that? It's the second walk for Felix Hernandez.
This is the second time this year, guys, that Salvador Perez and Alcides Escobar have walked in the same game. When it happened on the last road trip, and I informed them after the game, you would have thought that they had won their second World Series because they thought that this was the most incredible thing ever, that the two of them, who are not usually too fond of walks, could walk in the same game, stop the presses.
And now Omar Infante will sacrifice Salvi into scoring position. And you're right, and Infante too, he's walked 3 times in the last 2 games after walking just 1 time in his previous 62 plate appearances. But one of the great things about both Escobar and Salvador Perez, they take their jobs very seriously, but not themselves. They're very, very playful. And look at Salvador having a blast. He was having a conversation with Robinson Cano at second base. Here is Jarrod Dyson. Oh, one great block by Iannetta.
We talked about Iannetta before the game, how much improved he is at walking balls. This is a tough one here, right at the feet of the left-hander. That's a tough shift if you're a catcher.
Dyson's been one of the Royals' best, even though he has only been healthy the last couple of weeks. And he pulls it to the right side. They're going to third, and they've got Salvador in a rundown. He will be thrown out.
There's a heads-up play right there by Lynn, first baseman. Hosmer's the only one who usually does that, but that comes with knowing your runners, knowing the situation. You tell yourself that before the ball's hit. What am I going to do with it if he hits it right at me? Well, I might. If he goes to third, I'm going to get him. So that's what infielders have to think. Before the pitch is thrown, you got to know what you're going to do with it when it comes to you.
Well, the Royals already stole 1 base. Escobar did that. Dyson likely to be very aggressive now with 2 out. With Escobar more of a singles hitter and a doubles or triples guy. And still without a home run this year. He does have 2 triples, though.
Well, he splits the gap. He can score, Dyson.
Dyson does not go. The pitch is taken for strike 1. It's hard to get this 2 consecutive hits off this guy, so that's why you get the feeling Dyson will be very aggressive. And he forces a throw. Fans, you can vote for the Royals Player of the Month at one of the 7 Rally House locations in the Kansas City metro area. All participants will be entered to win a majestic prize pack. Dyson goes. He did slip a little bit. There's the throw, not in time. It's steal number 4 for Jarrod Dyson and number 16 for the Royals this year.
Best jump he's had all year.
But you know what, Hud? He's slipped a little bit. I think his right foot. Yeah, right there.
Yeah, he spun out a little bit, but he's got such short, quick, choppy steps that even a little burnout's not going to stop him.
And that's number 150 in Dyson's career. A lot for a guy who doesn't play every day. He finally is in 2016. He felt this was his opportunity, and that's why he was really disappointed in his first at-bat in spring training.
And those are things that you can't control. Dyson's done a good job of staying positive, and he's very calm this year. He wants to make sure that he slows everything down at the plate, and he does his job. He wants to keep it.
Injured his right oblique first at-bat in spring training. Escobar tries to punch it to right, and it will stay foul into the seats.
I like the fact that Dyson took off there to steal third. When you got a guy that's as good as Felix, you know, sometimes you force the issue. You steal third base. The throw by Iannetta gets away from Seager, the third baseman, 1-0. That's what speed can do. It can generate a run for you.
And even though Iannetta hasn't let many get by him, doesn't need to wander that far from home plate on a ball in the dirt to score a guy like Dice.
Escobar looked like he lost his footing there on that swing. Marte came in, had a little chat with Felix, could be about the signs. With 2 outs, I don't think Hernandez is too concerned with Jarrod Dyson.
Yeah, Cano is the man who is holding him. I don't know how he got a piece of that baseball the way he was breaking away from him. It was just an inch off the dirt.
Well, Escobar, he's the king of the booty knock. Anything that's off balance like that, that backside falls out and he just guides it out there. Anyway, doesn't matter how they get him in.
And still ahead in the count. Felix may go back there. Pulled down the line, foul.
Escobar, Dyson made some eye contact with Escobar, and it made Escobar laugh. He's probably saying, man, can't you see I got third stolen right there? What are you swinging for?
You got to protect the plate with 2 strikes. Come on. But the way Dyson's running, he could score on an infield hit. Escobar trying to come through. Felix has been incredibly tough with runners in scoring position this year. Royals going through a drought. Dyson goes, pitches, punch, again foul.
That's three times that Jarrod's tried to steal third. Esky's battling here. You know, the more pitches you foul off on a guy like this, the more confidence you gain. Look at that 2-seamer came back over the middle of the plate. Esky was on it. He's just gonna try to wait him out, see if he can get a good pitch to find a hole with.
Next pitch will be his 75th of this ball game.
Dyson's got to be tired.
He goes. Pitch is swung on and missed, and that would have been ball 2, but Felix again stretching that strike zone and tempting Escobar, who could not hold up. Pitching has been the story in the Pacific Northwest. Chris Medlen and Felix Hernandez, particularly in the clutch, making terrific pitch after terrific pitch to get batters out, and it's a 0-0 score going to the bottom of the 5th. Martin Aoki to face Medlen. Great change up there. 1 ball, 1 strike.
You can watch all the film when you get to the clubhouse of that night's starter. And there's nothing like facing him big time. There it is.
Medlen 64 pitches in innings 1 through 3 and only 8 in the 4th. And Felix Hernandez, he's at 75 pitches, but he is not allowed a run, and the Royals 0 for 7 against King Felix with runners in scoring position.
So Felix has 76. That's good.
76.
Good.
Medlen getting ready to throw his 76. Just low. Nice. That may have been that little cut fastball that was able to strike a batter out. Iannetta looking in the 4th, and at 86 miles an hour.
Well, he didn't have any trouble finishing off Marte. That's what's been his difficulty early in this game. He's getting ahead of guys, but just couldn't get that finish pitch working. And that was nice. Challenging.
Now Martin. Ball 1. Back-to-back hitters showing bunt. And it's not that cold, and Martin's wearing that neck wrap that he can bring up over his face if it gets too cold. Temperature in the mid-50s. In there.
Cold for baseball. Yeah, Medlen will take that low call anytime.
And that was our Missouri Lottery Fox tracks. Wow, that looked like the exact same location.
You know, Martin played in Texas for a long time, and he's used to it being warm climate.
And he's from Cuba, which is even warmer.
It's great weather.
Right there. What a beautiful pitch. Boy, that looked like it was going to be inside and then tailed back over the inside corner and just caught the black.
Told you in the very first inning that's going to be his pitch tonight on lefties. And it's working.
Full count at 3-2. He's walked 4, all 4 in the first 2 innings. Popped him up. Omar Infante on the edge of the outfield grass will make the catch, and that's 9 in a row retired by Medlen. Fans, it's a full day of baseball tomorrow on Fox Sports Kansas City and FS1. On FS1, the Giants take on the Mets at 2:30. Here on Fox Sports Kansas City, the Royals continue their series with the M's. Coverage starts at 8:30. Baseball tomorrow on Fox Sports Midwest and FS1, or watch the games live on Fox Sports Go. Nori Aoki up for the 3rd time. He's walked and grounded out and has a 2-0 count.
Nori played a huge role in 2014. He was fun to watch. And we saw swings like that one right there, and you know we saw a lot of other things too we hadn't seen before. I've never seen a guy swing and jump at the same time and have both feet off the ground.
It was incredible. Or
he was a treat.
when you get hit by a pitch, you thought a sniper was in the outfield. And he pops it up left side. Mike Moustakas near the line makes the catch, and what a job by Chris Medlen after struggling with his command early. Boy, he has really settled down. We'll see Felix when we come back.
Mazda game break takes us to St. Petersburg, where it was home run derby. Josh Donaldson, not quite the Batista bat flip, one of 4 home runs, solo home runs on the game for the Blue Jays. Michael Saunders had 2 as Toronto rolls 6-1. Fizz.
Thank you, Joel. And Felix Hernandez, well, he's won a Cy Young in his past. Steve Physioc, Rex Hudler. We're now joined by Royals Hall of Famer Jeff Montgomery. And Monty, I wanted to ask you first what you've seen from Chris Medlen. 4 walks, first 2 innings, and all of a sudden he has found his command.
Well, we knew he had to make an adjustment coming in this game. He had trouble throwing strikes in his last game. 3 of those walks scored against Chris Medlen, did a lot of damage, but it seems like after his first couple innings tonight, he's made that adjustment, and now he's got things going in the right direction.
Well, he throws one pitch to Mike Moustakas, who grounds out to Robinson Cano, playing shallow right field. And for Felix Hernandez, my gosh, does he make great pitches in the clutch. 1 for 30 now this entire season with runners in scoring position.
Well, the thing about Felix is he has so many pitches that he has the ability to go to, and as a result he can mix things up. They don't really get a pattern set against him, and as Hud can tell you, that's difficult when an ace like him has different pitches to go to.
Better believe it. But you know, the Royals, they got to find a way. They've beat guys like this before, and they've got to come out of this little losing spell they're in here. You've got to find a pitch for you and hit it. I mean, that's just the bottom line. But he's very difficult. There's no question about it.
The 6th inning is our Sonic Slam inning, and our contestant is Spencer Shear from Mission Hills. If the Royals hit a home run in this inning, Spencer will win $400, but if the Royals hit a grand slam, Spencer will be delighted and win $25,000 from Sonic and the Royals. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Kane singled in his last at bat, taking an outside pitch to right field. And again, he does the same thing, Hud. Something you were talking about, not trying to pull that outside pitch.
Try less. That's what the guys should be telling themselves. Just go up there and try to put the ball in play like they can do. The hits will start falling.
And that is Lorenzo Cain's only his 2nd multi-hit game this year.
Yeah, it's got to feel good for him.
right off the end of the bat. Another speed guy on. The Royals have stolen 2 bags already, and here is Hosmer, who has singled and struck out looking. Hosmer sends it to left field. Room for Aoki. Kane's going to tag, and he will not go. Maury with an excellent throw. Well, King Felix in April has always been strong, and as you take a look at his numbers at 2.46 ERA, Carl Hubble wasn't even as strong. Bob Feller 2.04, lowest ERA in April since 1913. And then of course you've got Walter Johnson, Pete Alexander, very good pitchers, and Felix looking for win number 145 tonight, which would tie him with Jamie Moyer for most in Seattle history. And Jamie had to pitch until his 40s to get his 145, and Felix just 30. Kane is going, and he will be thrown out.
Wow. You know, Lorenzo started his slide early. See, that slows him down when he starts his slide. Let's see if his hand gets in there before the tag. Oh, man. I mean, that's close.
We are still looking for our first run. Seattle, the Royals with 4 hits, the Mariners with no hits, but Chris has walked 4 batters. And Monty, you talked about the command of the fastball, and that was the pitch that he could not control in the first 2 innings.
Well, and that's the pitch he has to have. Now he's developed a slider this year, so that's really kind of his 4th pitch that he has. And sometimes when you're working with a new pitch for the first time in a season, you know, it takes you a while to get things going and getting back to that mix. But what I remember about Chris Medlen is when he's on, when he misses, he's always missing down. I've seen him miss a lot of times up in the strike zone, and obviously only 4 base runners, so he's doing a good job in squelching any rallies, but getting the ball up is something I have not seen from him.
Dyson at the wall. He will leap, and it is gone. The first hit of the game by Seattle is a home run by Seth Smith. 1-0 M's.
Looked to me like Gerard Dyson had a beat on it. He was just not going directly full speed at the wall. Tells me he was trying to track it. Smith got up underneath it, but I told you that 326 mark down that right field line, it's easy to get over, and Jarrod Dyson just couldn't get it. Good try. That's one that you have time to put your foot on the wall and get you another foot or two height. With those padded walls like that, we see guys do that.
Seth Smith picks up his 3rd home run of the year. Now Robbie Cano, who is 0 for 2, and he gets a strike right at the knees. Rex, I don't think I've ever seen Robbie Cano uncomfortable at the plate.
No, he's a skillful hitter. There's no question about it. He had a struggle of a season last year, his first one in his career, and a lot of that was getting adjusted to the Pacific Northwest weather, the ballpark, and he just didn't have the year that he expected. But he's too good to keep him down 2 years in a row.
Danny Duffy and Luke Hochevar are warming in the Kansas City bullpen. I'm sure that Dave Eiland and Ned Yost would like to see Chris go 6. He's thrown 94 pitches. The 2-2 to Cano.
Ooh.
Where'd that one miss? Looked pretty good in the inside corner, but taken.
That's off the plate, Monty, but he's been really good with that 2-seamer on lefties tonight.
Yeah, and that's a pitch he needs. I mean, that's a pitch you have to establish. A lot of lefties in this lineup for the Mariners.
And then he tries to hook him. Medlin much better command, even though he struggled early, than that last start to Baltimore, where he could never get on track and gave up 7 runs, tied for the most he's ever allowed against the Baltimore Orioles, and that was in less than 4 innings. Rope to right. Dyson will get there.
Good play by Jarrod. He got a perfect jump right on contact. He was heading towards that line. He's able to keep his focus and make the play.
Do you guys remember last year when Alex Rios was hurt? First week of the season in Minnesota, Jarrod Dyson went out. I don't think last year he makes that play. He's improved that much in right field compared to where he was used to playing in center field. He's now making those plays.
And that's one of the things that Rusty does during spring training. He moves guys around. And Dyson in 2015 was playing left field, center field, right field in a single game in spring training.
And you might say, well, it's all the same in the outfield. No, it's not. When you're in the corner outfields, the ball's tailing different directions, and so there takes some adjustment. But Jarrod, he's ready for his opportunity, and he's looked really good on defense and at the plate.
Just a reminder, as you enjoy a cold one, look forward to Miller Time later in this evening's game, brought to you by Miller Lite. 1-0 Seattle on a home run by Smith in this inning. Barely got over the wall, and now Medlin has an even count, 2-2 with Nelson Cruz, a guy who struck out 164 times last year. A lot of home runs with 44, but a lot of swings and misses. And Medlin's been going a little bit with that cut fastball slash slider to right-handers. There's a fastball that misses up.
Now that was meant for a swing and miss.
Elevate with intent.
Misses ball 4. And here comes Ned Yost. So Chris will go 5 1/3 innings, allow just 1 hit. The man at first base belongs to him. And with the left-hander Lynn followed by the lefty Seager. We're expecting Duffy. We'll be right back. We want you to come to the K on May 13th because that's our first summer fireworks show. Fans are invited to stay seated to enjoy a spectacular, vibrant show. Experience the best fireworks show in KC every Friday night home game from May through August, courtesy of Hy-Vee and Pepsi. Go to Royals.com or call 1-800-6-ROYALS for tickets. Right now we have our Chevy call to the bullpen and Danny Duffy coming on to face a couple of left-handers in Lind and Seager and try and keep it at 1-0 and let the Royal offense go to work in the top half of the 7th.
Yeah, big situation for Danny Duffy here. A chance to put out a fire. We're used to seeing Luke Hochevar do such a nice job. Here's Danny's opportunity to do such.
And he gets strike one at 97 miles an hour.
Let that fastball hunt. It's a beauty.
Lind, a veteran out of Muncie, Indiana. Another heater at 96, perfectly located. 0-2.
It's going to mix in a little slurvy breaking ball and a changeup every once in a while, but when you got that kind of fuzz, oh man, it's hard to hit.
Yeah, we've seen him hit 88 or 98, 99 a couple times too, so I think his arm feels great.
Boy, what a weapon from the left side. Not too many guys from the left side throwing that hard. And that time he throws the slider in there, and now it's a 2-2 count. Runner at first base, a run home.
That's a field pitch, that slider for him. He wants to be able to take a little bit more off of that without letting the hitter see his arm speed slow down. How do you do that, Monty?
Well, and that's the whole key. You got to have the same arm speed. Slow down the arm, the hitter picks it up, and then they make the adjustment. If you throw at that same arm speed, it doesn't have to be perfect. You just have a little bit of late life on that slider. Trim off the outside part of the plate. You're going to be very successful with it.
Got him. 98 miles an hour. Low outside cheese.
Pitch is unhittable. I think he could have told Lind he's throwing it, and he located right there. Can't hit it.
Might foul it off at best.
Well, last pitched on Tuesday. Worked around a leadoff walk to Mike Trout. He did have to throw 25 pitches, more than double his pitch total in his previous 2 outings. Trout at bat being a long one, and here is Seager. He fouls it off. Seager, good power, 4 home runs this year, but he has had a slow start. Started the night at 143 and 0 for 1 with a walk tonight. Pulled to the right side. Hosmer will take it. Great job by Danny Duffy out of the bullpen. But just one mistake thrown by Chris Medlin. Hung a curve, and Smith barely got it out. Washington, the Mariners with a 1-0 lead. Kansas City has lost 5 straight road games for the first time since April 2014. Well, our Sprint trivia question earlier tonight, Felix Hernandez has 6 seasons with 200 or more strikeouts. Who's the only other active pitcher with 6?
How about Dallas Keuchel?
I guessed Justin Verlander. Keuchel hasn't been around that long.
My bad.
Well, doesn't mean you're bad.
Well, I like the Verlander one. How about, has Kershaw been around that long?
Oh,
there's a good one.
There it is.
You got it. Way to go, Monty.
Monty, stay hot. Now we got to get our guys going here. A little offense on King Felix.
Felix right now at 84 pitches. The Royals would love to tax him. We told you their bullpen is much improved from a year ago. But I think you'd rather face the bullpen arms than number 34. Breaking ball in there for a strike. Morales singled his last time up. Out of play, 1-2.
Told you earlier, Morales coming into this game is 14 for 50 in his career against King Felix. So he's seen him a lot. Down the count, 1-2. Took a swing to left field, and that's what he'll try to do. He's not going to try to hit a homer. He's just going to try to serve it out there.
Trying to get him to chase the off speed. And Monty, what's interesting, there isn't that much separation with his fastball and his changeup, but his location is just phenomenal.
He has great confidence in that changeup. Even when he threw in the mid to upper 90s, he still threw that hard changeup, a lot harder than a lot of guys throw the changeup, but he had the ability to locate it. Plus, his changeup goes both directions. He can make it go away to a lefty or away to or into a lefty. He can make it go either way.
Yeah, Drew Butera told me, he said, it's not a regular changeup. He goes, it's more like a splitty. where you're convinced it's a fastball and it just dies at the end. There's a shot down the left field line that just barely tails foul.
There you go. Morales doesn't want to pull him at all here.
They're giving him so much room on that left side.
That's exactly what he's trying to do. Just missed.
That guy is glad it just missed him.
You got to make that play.
Yeah. Souvenir.
Watch your lips. In the left center field, Aoki comes in, will make the catch, and that's the first out of the 7th inning. Hey fans, grab your copy of the updated version of Dayton Moore's book, More Than a Season, now with 2 new chapters. The book explores the intersection of faith, family, and leadership, and the process of rebuilding a championship culture in Kansas City. And I want you to know that 100% of the book sales support Moore's charity, and it's a great organization. See You in the Major Leagues. It's for kids. More Than a Season is available at the Majestic Team Store, and autographed copies are available at the Royals Authentic Store, as well as seeyouinthemajorleagues.org. Boy, I was talking to Mike Scioscia at the Big A the other day, and he right behind the batting cage, and he was raving about the job that Dayton Moore has done. And he said he really feels like a great compliment goes out to the Glass family for being patient, for staying with that plan, and Dayton Moore for hiring the right people. And plus, Scioscia just likes the way they play. Team built on pitching and defense, and when the Angels were successful, that was their design.
Well, one thing, Fitz, I've heard more and more often talked about is the fact that how many markets would have the patience to allow a team to scrap and rebuild from the beginning, and take 7 or 8 years to get there. Not a lot of markets would that be possible, and fortunately the Glass family and the Kansas City fans allowed that to happen.
Curveball in there to Alex. And as a matter of fact, they have improved their record in 5 straight seasons, and that hasn't happened since the 1919 to 1925 Philadelphia Athletics. Goes back that far. So we can see the success coming. It's away 3-2.
Alex having a nice plate appearance here. He's letting the borderline pitches go. Hernandez is good at staying out of the middle. This late with 95 pitches, he's bound to make a mistake.
Off the plate, he walks him. 3rd walk issued by Hernandez tonight. And now his fellow countryman, Salvador Perez, who has struck out and walked. High fly ball left field, playable for Aoki. Comes in about 10 steps and makes the catch for out number 2 as Gordon stays put at first base.
That was the one.
I promise you, when that pitch left Felix Hernandez's hand, he thought it was going to go into the bleacher somewhere. Salvi just under it.
Well, he's at 97. He's a guy who can throw a lot of pitches. He's thrown as many as 106 this year, but usually in April they'll pace him. Now Omar Infante. Omar shot one down the third base line his first time up, but fine play by Kyle Seager, and last at bat sacrificed Perez to second base.
Talked about it earlier in the game, Monty. Felix is going with curveballs a lot more this year, and it's a good one too. When he lets that thing go, it's got some good depth.
just can't sit on any particular pitch with Felix Hernandez. He has the ability to work all quadrants of that strike zone, change his speed, change his eye level.
Can't guess with him.
Right.
You got to just zone him. If you're a hitter, look for a certain spot. It's like Lorenzo Cain. He's been looking for the ball away, and he's got 2 hits away. That's called zoning him. Putting him in a certain spot.
Hold to the hole. Marte gets the force at second base, and the Royals unable to come up with a run off Felix Hernandez through 7 innings. And for the Royals, and this Sunday NASCAR Sprint Cup racing heads to the big one at Talladega with the Geico 500, where Dale Earnhardt Jr. will look to defend his title from last year, beginning at 11:30 in the morning on your local Fox station, or watch it live on Fox Sports Go. Well, Joakim Soria comes in, and he has had fantastic numbers at Safeco Field. He has never allowed a run, and 10 saves, of course, in his glory years with the Royals, and now a setup man for Kansas City. And overall against the M's, just 2 runs allowed in 26 1/3 innings. First pitch, strike 1. He is our Chevy call to the bullpen.
A nice clean inning could go a long way for Joakim Soria here in this situation. 1-run game, 7th inning, still a lot of baseball left.
So you're exactly right. He needs a clean inning. Lonnie, that'll really pick him up. You're right.
Oh, look at that hook. That's the old Bugs Bunny we used to see back at the K, Monty.
Yeah, you got to like the way of changing speed. He's doing a fastball past Iannetta, and he throws the old, 70-mile-an-hour hook.
Ooh, yeah. He took just enough off of it till it really messed up Iannetta.
Now Marte takes strike 1. Ketel came in on fire, 7 for 13 in that last series, but 0 for 2 with a pair of strikeouts against Medlin. And Chris did a good job. 5 1/3 innings, didn't have his best command, but battled. And there's a bunt try, Soria up with it, and tags the runner as he passes.
Nice job. He bounced right off of that mound with no problem at all. And then a lot of guys are going to shuffle that ball from their glove to the first baseman, but I like how Soria just took it himself.
This is what's called the tough play. It's a play that as a pitcher If you have a chance, field it. If not, you got to let the first baseman do his job. It's a do or die play.
Now Joaquin will face Leonys Martin. 0 for 1 with a walk. There's strike one right at the knees inside corner. Time Salvi got down on one knee.
The location and command of Soria tonight, you can tell, is much crisper, but I like his tempo. He's getting the ball and he's pitching confidently. You can tell by up here by watching it.
Absolutely. He's wasting no time between pitches, going right out.
Hey, let it go.
Great job by Soria. Shuts out the Mariners. We head to the 8th inning. The Royals need 1 to tie. They'll have Dyson then the top of the order coming up. Promised earlier, it's time to check out a Miller Lite, and King Felix has been at his best.
Yeah, let's take a look at some of the action you see on Felix Hernandez's pitches. He pitches again both sides of the plate. He's up, he's down, he's in, he's out. He does a little bit of everything, and that's what makes him so difficult. We're seeing it tonight, getting some nice locked up pitches on the inside part of the plate, making hitters chase. Always helps to get that pitcher's best friend there too, Hud.
Oh, believe it. No, he's pitching as advertised. Coming in tonight, just a 156 opponent's batting average. Tells me he's dealing.
Royals would love to get Dyson on. Felix has shut out the Royals, walked 3, struck out 4. That one kicks in front of the plate. 1 ball, 1 strike. Royals offense still sputtering. They've scored 5 or more runs only 4 times this year, and this is their 22nd game. Pulled to the right side. Cano will throw out Dyson. Nick Vincent, Vidal Nuno warming for Seattle. He's at 103. We told you his season high is 106 pitches, and he threw 106 in only 5 innings at New York against the Yankees. Strike 1 to Escobar. Just grazed the bottom of that strike zone.
Very composed young man on the mound.
Back-to-back yaks.
In 2010, he won the American League Cy Young, becoming just the second Mariner to do that. Randy Johnson won it in 1995.
Go back to the breaking ball. Got Eske to swing at that in his last at bat.
One of the things, I was looking at Hernandez's numbers earlier today, and the amount of innings pitched he's thrown over the last several years is just truly remarkable. 1 year, almost 250 innings pitched. So he's a workhorse on the mound.
Yeah, he's closing in on 2,300 in his career. Royals fan with a souvenir.
Oh, he got it by default. But he goes back to the breaking ball in the dirt. Ouch. That caught home plate umpire Vic Carapazza. Ouch.
Left hand.
I guarantee you, Eske keeps swinging at those pitches, they'll keep throwing them there.
Exactly right.
And the next team the Royals play, the Washington Nationals, their scout is here.
So he punches one to right field, and that's a base hit. Escobar around first will hold there. A good job backing up by Martin, the center fielder. And Eske saying, thank you.
Yeah, for not throwing a breaking ball in the dirt. He left one up.
Why did he throw him a strike?
I don't know what he's thinking. But Eske will take it. Seth Smith, not known as a Gold Glove defender, but made a nice effort for that one.
No movement yet from the Seattle dugout, even though their best pitchers at 110 pitches, the most he has thrown in any game this year. And here is Mike Moustakas. What do you say, a mistake here?
It's time to give him a parting gift.
Ball one.
And Moose can do it with that nice, easy swing.
Boy, he had great numbers last year against Seattle. 9 hits and 22 at bats. 2 of them left the yard. May not start 2016 well. In there, 1-1. Be nice to see him climb up this list. We only have 2 more days in the month of April. Mark Quinn has the most home runs in the first month of the year with 9. Beltran with 8. Runner goes, pitch outside, throw to second. Not in time. Stolen base number 2 tonight for Escobar.
Marte thinks that they got him. Escobar with a good jump. Good jump and a good slide. He slid late, so he had a lot of momentum going into the bag, and good to see him not getting his legs twisted up on that base, especially that lead foot. He's on the bag there and there.
Yeah, I didn't see him coming off. There's no separation. That's why Scott Service is not going to challenge. And that's the 150th for Escobar. So you have both Eske and Gerard Dyson getting their 150th tonight. And the Royals have another man in scoring position. Felix has allowed only 1 hit all year in this situation. And he pitches low, 3-1 to Moustakas with the right-hander Kane, who has 2 hits tonight next.
Well, he relies on hitters chasing. It looks like Moose is waiting for his pitch. If he doesn't get it, let the hottest hitter tonight take a shot. Lorenzo Cain on deck.
In there, 3-2. He did not go with the fastball. Instead, staying with that breaking ball, not giving in.
If he throws it 3-1, he'll throw it 3-2.
He has great confidence in all of his pitches. I wouldn't be surprised.
Yep. I think he wants to get beat on a home run, on a fastball.
In the air, right field. Smith is back at the warning track. Escobar will tag and make it to third.
Moose was thinking right with us, Monty. He knew he was going to come back with it again. He did, and he just couldn't barrel it like he wanted to. Good try.
Opponents only 1 for 31 against Felix with runners in scoring position this year.
He's one of the best for a reason. Moose stayed with it. He saw it good, but just couldn't get up a little higher in the middle of the ball.
And Service will take out Felix Hernandez. Even though Cain 2 for 3 in this game, maybe he's just going to have a conversation. He's at 116 pitches, which is 10 more than he's thrown, and they have made the move to the bullpen. Vincent was the right-hander warming up, and that's the guy we are expecting. So Hernandez' evening is over. He leaves with a 1-0 lead. Look how strong he's been in the clutch. The Missouri Lottery. Every ticket you play gives back to schools across Missouri, so play it forward with the Missouri Lottery. By Menards. Save big money at Menards on all your home improvement needs. And by your Midwest Ford dealers. Visit us at yourmidwestforddealers.com. Steve Physiak, Rex Hudler, Jeff Montgomery, Joel Goldberg with you at Safeco Field in Seattle, Washington. Seattle has a 1-0 lead on a home run by Seth Smith. Felix Hernandez tonight went 7 2/3 innings. Leaves with the lead. Now it's up to Nick Vincent with the tying run just 90 feet away.
Well, his night's over, but the game's not. The Royals want to come back right here. This young man here, Vincent, he's been good this year. 1.91 ERA, 1.93, 12 strikeouts. Opponent's only hitting 125. Scott Service isn't going to bring in somebody who's been giving it up. Not in King Felix's game. And he's not overpowering. He's got a sinker. 86-90. Makes that fastball kind of sneaky. Cuts it both sides of the plate. He's got a good changeup.
And Gaines' last hit was with a runner in scoring position. The last by the Royals was a Dyson RBI double in the 4th on Tuesday. Cain also drove in a run in that game. Even though Lorenzo has not hit his stride yet, he does have 3 game-winning RBIs. He's down to Nick Vincent 1 and 2, and Vincent has 1 loss this year when he gave up a 2-out solo home run to Coco Crisp in the 10th inning against the Oakland A's. Maybe he'll make another one of those mistakes. Didn't mean to do it. Check swing foul.
There you go. He's only thrown 4 pitches, and you can tell why he's got 12 strikeouts in 9 in the 3rd innings. He's sneaky quick. The ball runs in there, and he's got a little sinking action to it. And those kind of guys are tough to figure out. Slow wind up, ball coming in there on him. That's a hairdo right there, Monty.
You look good in that, Hud.
Thank you.
Cano has it. Escobar left stranded at 3rd. And Felix trying to tie Jamie Moyer for the most wins in Mariners history.
Looking to get on the board. Our Northtown Mazda game break takes us to Fenway Park. Yankees and Red Sox, and Jackie Bradley Jr. right off of the wall. That is going to tie the game at 2. Big Papi David Ortiz homered off of Dellin Betances in the 8th inning. That broke the tie. 2-run homer, 4-2 final.
And here are your standings in the American League East, Joel. Baltimore with a 1.5 edge on the Boston Red Sox, and Toronto 4 back. The Royals started 3 back of the White Sox. Chicago lost today for the 2nd straight. And now Nori Aoki will lead things off. Hochevar has always had good numbers against Seattle. 3-1 in his career with a 3.3 ERA, and a lot of those were as a starting pitcher. The Royals will have Eric Hosmer, Kendrys Morales, and Alex Gordon coming up in the top of the 9th. Coach needs to keep it right here. Ooh, where'd that miss?
Some 94. He's got a nice 4-seamer. Good, great cutter. Overhand curve. Good spot.
Salvi tried to frame it for him. Now he's just going right down the heart of the plate. And it is ball 4. Ram drive of the game. 6th inning. Breaking ball. Caught too much of the plate. Smith barely got it over the wall, but got just enough for a 1-0 lead. Chris Medlin walked 5. And now Hochevar has walked a man, and 6 walks by Royal pitchers tonight, and 86 this year, the second most in the American League. Salvi thinks about throwing behind, does not.
But Salvi got twisted up with Carapazza.
He's a pretty good diplomat. I loved what he did the other day, getting in front of the umpire and calming things down after the Royals were chirping from the dugout about a check swing.
Well, Salvi moves so quick back there. It's hard for an umpire to get out of the way sometimes. So they were questioning if the ball was a ball or a strike. It's a ball.
I'm talking about the game with the Angels. Runner goes. Pitch fouled off. Aoki has stolen 1 base this year. He's been caught twice. Last year stole 14 with the Giants. Smith the difference in the game with that home run to right. But inside, and a 2-1 count to Smith. The Royals were swept by the Angels, being outscored 19-7, and they have yet to score here in Seattle. Tomorrow night it will be Yordano Ventura against Wade Miley, and then Sunday afternoon Kennedy against Taijuan Walker. Aoki goes, swung on and missed, throw to second. Aoki is out. Murray wants them to check.
Salvi took the breaking ball. Quick release. Got it to Eske. Eske down with the tag in a hurry. Just got it on him. A lot of velocity on that ball thrown to Escobar, but you got to have quick hands to bring that ball down when it's up off the target. Nice play. Got it.
Salvador has thrown out better than 50% of would-be base stealers this year. Smith does not go after the breaking ball, and the count is full 3-2.
Guys, the thing Luke Hochevar did so well when Nori Aoki was on first, he held the ball for a long time. He varied his looks. He didn't give Aoki a good chance to get a good jump, and that's why Salvador Perez able to throw him out.
8 of 15 this year. Not many run on him. Coming inside. Does not bite, and that's ball 4. So 7 walks by Royal pitchers tonight. And fans now available at the Majestic Team Store as a DVD Blu-ray combo pack. Royalty Reigns is a comprehensive look back at the great 2015 Royals and details how a champion was built, from the backstory of how the club was assembled through the vision of general manager Dayton Moore and the support of ownership to key moments during the regular and postseason. The Royalty Reigns DVD Blu-ray combo pack is now available exclusively at the Majestic Team Store behind the Diamond Club. Well, here's Cano. Always a tough out. Cano, though, tonight 0 for 3. Last time lined out. Fine catch by Dyson and Wright. Popped him up. Shallow left. Gordon sprinting on there for the catch and second out. So Hoach needs one more man, and it's Nelson Cruz before they head to the 9th inning. And he wants the Royals to be down just by 1. We told you the middle of the order, hitters 4, 5, and 6 are coming up with Hosmer, Morales, Gordon, and if they have anybody on, Perez, Infante, Dyson. Ball 1. Steve Cishek. He has become their closer this year. Guy who was in the Marlins organization for a long time and then with St. Louis last year. Two and 0. Just misses the corner. 3 balls, no strikes to Cruz, who likely will be given the green light on a 3-0 count. This is a guy, one of the great hitters in the month of April. 48 home runs in April since 2009. That's tied for the second most in Major League Baseball, so watch out. He throws a little cut fastball in the outside corner on a 3-0 count.
Yeah, it's a dangerous situation as a pitcher. A lot of times you fall into the trap thinking he's going to be taking, you give in, and he makes you pay for it. Luke on top there.
He did not give in. Dyson in right makes the catch. We will head to the 9th inning with the Royals only trailing by 1 here in Seattle.
Come on, boys.
Starts by both Medlin and Felix Hernandez. Seth Smith's solo home run in the 6th, the only hit allowed by Chris Medlin tonight. A hanging breaking ball inside corner, and he just did get it over the right field wall.
It's an unusual line, that's for sure.
And there is Smith with 3 home runs and a big one tonight. Steve Cishek comes out of that bullpen, and he has been terrific in 9 games this year with a 0.9 ERA. He's allowed only 1 run, but that 1 run was a home run.
Well, this young man here at 6'6", 220, he'll be tough. He's a side armor. has a lot of life to his fastball. 90 to 96. Got an 86 to 88 mile-an-hour slider. Those are his two main pitches. The fastball is going to sink, and he'll also use that four-seamer up. Get a pitch.
And Hosmer has been good in the clutch throughout his career. First pitch in there, strike one. Kind of slings it from the side.
Sure does. And now he has given up a home run in his 10 innings this year.
That's the only run allowed. Up the middle. Base hit for Hosmer. So Eric 2 for 4. That 18-game hit streak continues.
Yeah, that's a good time to start a little frenzy hitting. Yeah, that fastball's right there saying hit me. And left-handers obviously can see Cishek better because he's throwing sidearm from that side. And those lefties are going to be the ones here. Got 3 in a row he's got to get through.
And now Kendrys Morales, who led the club in RBIs last year, but has only 1 in his last 12 games, including tonight. Strike 1. And Kendrys, for some reason, having more difficulty with the right-handers this year than the lefties, and he gets more swings from the left side of the plate.
He'll be all right. It's early.
Yep. He spent 2 years in Seattle as their designated hitter.
Just get it to that guy. He's looking for the check. It's been a while. Hadn't pitched since last Friday. It's been a while. Ooh, man, that's tough there. He wanted that.
Instead of a 1-2 count, though, it's 2 balls and 1 strike.
Yep, that's that good little two-seam sinker he's going to use against the lefties. And he's got that little hard biting sidearm slider.
The Royals have had 3 comeback victories already this year. Why not make it 4? Outside, 3-1. And the Royals, as you know, have Terrence Gore on that bench. One of the fastest men in baseball. Strike. 3-2.
See, Morales is saying, not 2 pitches before that was a ball. And you called, what's it going to be? That's why he took it.
Hosmer goes. The pitch is swung on.
Get up!
Driven down the right field line, and it is hooking foul.
He almost got him. Oh, he's just a tad out in front.
And that was one of the rare sliders he's thrown.
Yeah. Oh man, that just hooked it. Would have been close if it was on that foul pole. It would have been a tester. He's going to go away with that fastball here.
Hosmer goes. Pitch is fouled off.
Hey, Morales had a pretty good idea what he wanted to do there.
And now with 2 strikes, with 1, they were more straight up on the infield HUD. But now that third baseman has moved over to the shortstop and 3 infielders are on the right side.
Just put it in play and get on base. Ooh, yeah, he took a good rip there.
Aoki very deep in left. Deep in center field is Martin.
Yep, he's not going to throw him that slider unless it's down in the dirt.
Now they're trying to keep Hosmer close at first.
Yeah, and he's going to have a courtesy throw over there after going a couple times in a row. But closers usually never worry about the runner at first. They don't care. They trust their stuff. They have quite confidence going out there.
Ooh, he swings and misses. Hosmer will steal second base, and that was ball 4.
Hosmer will take it.
Oh man, that's well off the plate too.
Yeah, that's what he was going to do. either he's going to use the slider down because he's not going to make a mistake with that again. Service had no chance to throw out Haas, so there he is. At least the time runs in scoring position.
And the batter is Alex Gordon. Alex has popped up, grounded into a double play, and walked.
Chris Ionetta's done a fabulous job behind the plate for,
really
for the Ends tonight.
Oh, and 2.
Oh, a hit right here would be a confidence booster for Alex.
Not good numbers. We want to change that right here with Hosmer representing the tying run in scoring position. Alex just 4 hits in his last 25 times up. One ball, 2 strikes. Boulevard Royals Live is coming up after the ball game with Joel and Monty.
I'm not seeing any 95s or 96s from Cishek.
Strikes out. Cishek gets the second out of the 9th inning. It will be up to Salvador Perez.
It's a two-seamer that's moving away from the lefties. See how he handles his first right-handed bat.
Down the line. That's fair. Oh, I thought it was fair. And it's a foul ball just barely. Whew. The third base umpire threw up his arms. Foul ball as it went.
That's the
just
danger.
To the left of the bag.
That's the danger of that slider. Morales almost got him, and it just stayed up there. And Salvi, that speeds up a guy's bat when you throw that pitch, and he just missed.
Center field, deep. Martin back. Makes the catch brilliantly and then slams into the wall.
Are you kidding me? He hit a ball that far, and it had to go straight away. Off the bat, I thought it had a chance. Great timing.
The Royals in a bit of a rut. When they hit the ball well, this happens. Great catch by Martin. And Felix Hernandez ties Jamie Moyer for most wins in Mariners history, getting his 145th win. The Royals have lost 6 straight road games. We'll be right back.